Hey friends, happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, April 25th, 2023, and this is my quilty vlog. Before we dive into the project updates, I do want to let you know that I'm going to talk to you about my Vegas trip. That's going to be at the end of the video, so you'll want to make sure to stay tuned to get all of the deets on my visit with Tiffany. Over the past couple of weeks, I got to work on lots of things, but most of it was really the week before I left for Vegas. I just didn't have the ability to put together a nice vlog showcasing all of my project updates last week. So last week I just did kind of a live stream and just chatted with you from my hotel room. So I'm going to give you 2 weeks worth of project updates, and it starts off with the best thing in the world: gifting a quilt to somebody who has been waiting patiently for their quilt to be finished. I had a purple quilt that I put together as part of a puzzle mystery quilt for Cotton Cuts that my niece Grayson just fell in love with. She called dibs on this thing back in October when she saw the quilt top, and I actually meant to get it quilted and bound and gifted to her for Christmas. Obviously, that didn't happen, but she did get it on Easter. So on Easter Sunday, she came down to celebrate the day with us, and I gave her her finished quilt. I sent this off to Tucker. He quilted it with some dragonflies on it, and I got it bound, and she now has it in her possession. So congratulations, Grayson. I hope you're enjoying the quilt. The next project that I worked on is the Kaleidoscope of Stars quilt. This is the quilt that I am putting together as a result of my Live with Linework challenge that I did with Tiffany, Ian, and Teresa on Tiffany's challenge. Each of us had a layer cake of Linework by Tulip Ink, and we got to bring in our own pattern and our own coordinating fabric to make a quilt of our choosing. I chose the Kaleidoscope of Stars pattern, and I am loving how this is coming together. Before I left for Vegas, I finished making all of those blocks and actually sewing all the blocks together. The quilt really isn't that big, and I want to make it grow a little bit. So I think I'm going to add some borders to it to give it some more size. I just don't know what I'm going to do for the borders. Right off the top of my head, I think I'm going to do a thin inner border of that background black fabric, just because I feel like that's going to help separate all the busyness of all the colors and the border, but I don't know what I want to do in the border yet. So I've got to think about that. Might take me a little bit before I decide what I'm going to do, but the center of that quilt is done. I also worked on my Home Again quilt along. This is a 5-week quilt along that is hosted by Fat Quarter Shop, and today marks week number 4. For week number 4, you're going to make 3 more of the same blocks that you made in weeks 1 through 3, and then after today, you will have 12 of the same blocks all pieced together and ready to be put together with some sashing and borders to make your final quilt top. And you guys, I cannot wait to have this quilt fully pieced together. I am looking forward to sitting down and making my finished quilt top this weekend. I also put binding on 2 of the quilts that came off of the long arm. The table runner that was on the long arm with those other projects hasn't been bound yet, but my Feathered Stars and my Open Gates project are both bound and even have sleeves on the back so they can be hung up and proudly put on display. Though I do need to make a label for both of those, so still some work to do. There are 2 LegitKits projects that I am working on, and I am excited about both of them. The first one you already know about. It is the Ursula Minor kit from LegitKits, and this is a cute little baby polar bear that I am just really enjoying working on. I cannot wait to get this quilt fully pieced and loaded on the long arm because I know exactly how I want to quilt it, and I can just envision it hanging in my home and submitting it to quilt shows and all of the things. But it's not pieced yet, but it's going to be. As of the recording of this video, I have 8 of my 16 blocks all put together, and I am on track to have the whole quilt top pieced by the middle of May. Now, I do have a trip planned for the end of May, so I probably won't get a chance to quilt it until sometime in June, but that's okay with me. My goal is to have it pieced before I leave for my trip. There's another legit kit that I'm working on, though, and I actually haven't talked about this on my channel yet. Can you guess what it is? It is the LegitKit block of the month, and I am so excited to talk to you about this. So the LegitKit block of the month, what is it? It is a 12-month block of the month featuring all of the things that you know and love about LegitKits. Every single month, you're going to get all of the materials and the pattern to put together a number of blocks. In months 1 through 8, you're going to make just 4 blocks. And then in months 9 through 12, you're going to make 8 blocks. Now, those latter months, they're a little bit more detailed, but the hope is that in months 1 through 8, you're getting more confident with FPP so that when you get to the latter part of the quilt along, the block of the month, you're able to do that a little bit quicker than maybe you thought you would have. Okay, so that's the quilting projects. Let me talk to you about the Vegas trip. I was in Las Vegas for a few days for a work conference. And as soon as I knew I was going to Vegas, I planned with my employer and Tiffany to spend a couple extra days there so that I could spend some time with her and visit with her. She lives on the other side of the country, so it's not very often that I actually get to spend time in person with her. And this seemed like a great opportunity to do that. Also, given all of the recent happenings in her life, it was just a blessing that I had already figured that out. And so I got to be there as part of her support system in her time of need, which was just, there are no words to explain how honored I feel to be a part of that. In fact, I was so excited to do one thing. I heard from so many of you that you wanted me to give Tiffany the world's biggest hug and tell her how much you loved her. And so I had planned, and I told her I was going to do this because I didn't want her to be taken aback. I had planned to have my camera set up on a tripod. And when we first saw each other, we were going to run together and give each other a hug. Except when I first saw her, I didn't hug her. She had to hug me. You see, just an hour or so before Tiffany showed up at the hotel, I was involved in a car accident in Vegas. What happens in Vegas does stay in Vegas, though, because it was with a rental car. So all of that stuff is done and it's behind me and the insurance companies are working it out. Fortunately, nobody was hurt, but I know you're going to ask, so I'm just going to tell you what happened. I was driving my rental car, which was a small car low to the ground. It was in the parking garage, leaving the convention center, and a full-size SUV broadsided, I don't know what the right term is, but it collided with the driver's side of the car I was driving, and literally the damage was right smack dab in the car, in the middle of the car. I was driving through the parking garage to leave the convention center and go to the hotel to meet Tiffany because she was coming. And unfortunately, I found myself in the middle of an intersection that was in no way marked in the garage. And the truck that was driving along that route did not see me or have time to stop. I don't know what happened, but he just went bam right into the side of the car. And all I can remember is seeing out of the corner of my eye this big truck coming and knowing that he was going to hit me. And I just started screaming. And my passenger, who was a coworker, turned to look, and she says all she remembers is just seeing the big headlights, and then boom, we were hit. Yeah. Fortunately, the insurance companies are figuring out all of the details about who's at fault since it was on private property and all that other stuff. And I've got a good insurance package, so I'm not really worried about anything. My car is fine. What happened in Vegas stayed in Vegas, and that's it. But because of this, when Tiffany showed up at the hotel, I was not in the frame of mind to support her and hug her and love her. I actually needed somebody to hug me and love me. So rather than me supporting her, she showed up and had to support me. But don't worry, after we got all the insurance calls and everything done, I did have time to give her the world's biggest hug. And that is not just for me, but from all of you as well. We had a fabulous time together. Thursday night, we went and spent some time at Area 15. We had something to eat. We explored Mega Mart, which is amazing. And I cannot wait to do it again. And this time, actually try to solve the mystery. Because if you don't know, this Mega Mart exhibit at Area 15, it's this whole other world that you get to explore. But if you pay $3 for this little card, you take the card around and you got to solve these clues to figure out the mystery. And they've got role play employees that are role playing along with you, so you can ask them questions and try to figure things out. And I didn't know that that was part of the exhibit until we were all done exploring. So next time I go to Vegas, I want to do that. I want to do the mystery. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Tiffany enjoyed it though. That girl was crawling up nooks and crannies and exploring things. I don't think she left a single stone unturned in the entire place. Friday was our shop hop day, and that was a lot of fun. We started the day by meeting up with my friend Lori, who graciously drove us around all of Vegas to check out all these different quilt shops that we had on our list. We started our day off with a stop in at QUILTED, where I picked up a couple of different cuts of fabric out of their sale room and a few patterns. And then we made our way to the complete other side of Vegas to a store called Sew Abilities. Cute little store. However, I didn't really buy anything there because they seemed more focused on machine embroidery. And that's just not what I'm into right now anyway. And they also seem focused on selling machines and equipment for baby locks, which I have a baby lock, but I didn't really need anything for my baby lock, and I certainly don't need another machine, and I couldn't have fitted it in my luggage if I wanted to, so I didn't buy anything from that store, but I did stop in and check it out. After we stopped in at Sew Abilities, it was time for some lunch, and then we headed over to the Christmas Goose. Now, I knew about Christmas Goose from my last trip to Vegas, where I picked up some fabric from there. This time, nothing really jumped out at me. I wasn't seeing anything that I loved until I got almost out the door and I saw a panel that just screamed at me. I have a project that my husband and I, yeah, you heard that right, Jason and I are going to work on together. And I'm really excited to share the details of what this project are, but it's going to be a few weeks before we get started. It probably won't kick off until sometime in May. But he's going to help with this. They had panels of the American flag that are going to work perfectly in the project that I want to put together. So I picked up a few of those from QUILTED. We ended our day with a stop in at So Yeah, and a trip to Vegas would not be complete without doing a little bit of shopping at So Yeah Quilting. I'm going to tell you, this shop is huge. Like, huge. It was well lit, very organized, and I really enjoyed my time there. I got to meet so many friends. I did some hand sewing, kind of. It didn't really look that great when it was done, but I also did some shopping. I shopped their sale room. I did get a few patterns and a couple of fat quarters from the main floor, but all of my yardage was from that sale room. And I dropped a good penny. It was completely mind-boggling to me that I was able to find so much in their sale room, because just the weekend before they had a massive tent sale in their parking lot, and I heard they moved a ton of product, but there was still deals to be found in that sale room. So yeah, I got a lot from So Yeah, definitely more than I did from any of the other shops. I had hoped to catch up with the brothers while I was out west, but just my luck, go figure. I flew west for work and they flew east. Go figure. While I was out in their neck of the woods, they were out in mine working. So it is what it is. They were out here the whole week that I was out there. And so we didn't get a chance to catch up, but they did let us use their storefront as a place to have a meet and greet. So I got to hang out with several of you in the store while we did some shopping, did a little bit of hand sewing, did a whole lot of laughing, a whole lot of talking. And when the store closed, we packed up the party and went to a taqueria place close by. I'm not even going to try to say the name because I don't speak Spanish and I would just butcher it, but I know it's Taqueria's Casa del something. And it's right on the same road, right on Rainbow Road-ish, kind of in a little strip mall with a McDonald's and another place called Buffet at Asia. It's delicious. I got to eat there twice last week, once with my coworker and another time with all of my new friends from So Yeah. And I got to tell you, the whole time I was there, I was like, is this the place that Brody talked about? I feel like in a recent live stream, and by recent, I mean sometime in the past year-ish, they talked about tacos that were authentic, affordable, and very filling in a store that was close to their new store. So I feel like this was the place that Brody was talking about, but I don't know. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below if you know what taco place Brody was talking about, because I'm dying to know if I experienced the tacos that Brody was raving about. After dinner with our new friends was done, Tiffany and I went back to the hotel and we took in a movie and just kind of crashed for the rest of the night. It was a long day and we were both really tired. In fact, I feel like I fell asleep during the movie. And because Tiffany didn't get her normal nap, I don't think she stayed up much longer than I did, but who knows? Maybe she was up until the wee hours of the morning just watching me sleep. Saturday morning, we woke up and had breakfast with Eric, and OMG, you guys, this is hilarious because Tiffany is very short and Eric is very tall. And to see the two of them next to each other, it really is quite comical. We spent Saturday morning catching up over some free breakfast in my hotel lobby, but before I knew it, it was time to pack up my suitcases and head to the airport because I needed to come home and be with my puppies and my family. But Eric did continue the trip just a little bit. Tiffany and Eric spent the whole day on Saturday just hanging out in Vegas, enjoying one another's company, and then they both parted ways and went home as well. I'm going to end this video with a little bit of a heavy note. I just want to say I am honored and blessed to be just a part of Tiffany's support system. Her family is going through a very trying time, and I can't even begin to fathom what it feels like to lose a child. I've lost loved ones, but I've never had to say goodbye to a child. And I know that that is a huge loss that she is going to live with for the rest of her life. And I look forward to being a part of that support system for as long as I live. But I am very honored to have been able to be with her for a couple of days, to give her a hug when she needed it, to distract her when she needed it, and to make her laugh when she needed it. And all of you are just as important to her as I was. She posted a video on Tuesday, April 25th, thanking everybody for all of the support that you've shown her family and letting you know what she needs from you going forward. And I'll just tell you, go watch that video. But in a nutshell, what she's looking for from you is to keep everything light. She wants her interactions with her social media presence, her online community, to be focused on things that will distract her from the pain and the grief of losing her son. And you can do that by showing up to her live streams and leaving CJ's name out of the chat for right now. You can do that by posting pictures and comments in her Facebook group, letting her know how much you love her videos, or showing her projects that you're working on, even if they weren't inspired by one of her videos. Or if you see her in my live chats or Ian's or anybody else's, say hi to her. But leave the grief, leave the pain, leave the loss out of the conversation. In time, she will be ready to share more about what's happened and talk about it, but it is still too fresh, and that time is not right now. So that's all I got to say. I know that was a heavy message, and that's not normally how I end my videos. So thank you for sticking with me through that. Make sure to hug somebody close to you, tell them you love them, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye.